Welcome to Firearms Friday, coming to you from the Wyoming State Museum here in Cheyenne. My name's Evan Green. I'm the firearms historian for the museum, and I want to talk to you today about a couple of Winchester rifles, one of which is heavily modified. So this one started out looking very much like this one before it was modified. The 1876 Winchester is also called the Centennial Rifle for the year it was introduced, and it was Winchester's first attempt to produce a repeating rifle with a seriously heavy-duty rifle cartridge. The previous Winchester lever actions, going all the way back to the Henry, the 1866, the 1873, were basically pistol caliber rifles. They used a short cartridge that was also available in handguns. So this was their first attempt, and these were available in again serious cartridges, 4560, 4570, 50, 100s. The downside was that they were not able to be used with cartridges of varying lengths. So they could not be used with the two cartridges that were United States government issue at that time. The 4570, which was the infantry issued cartridge, and I think it was the 4560, that was or 55, that was a lighter loaded cartridge for use in the lighter cavalry carbines, because the 4570 in that lightweight carbine had serious recoil. So I'm going to set this one aside right now and go back to this one. And this is kind of a fun gun. It's another one of those Franken guns. You can see where the barrel has been cut because it would have been initially as long as the one we just looked at. The magazine tube has been cut and has a wooden plug in the end. The rear sight originally would have been in this dovetail here. So the rear sight was removed. A new dovetail was cut to accommodate a new front sight. Another dovetail cut here in the frame to accommodate a rear sight. And this really odd stock was put on here. It is very thin and light, obviously handmade. It's held in place partially by this through bolt through the action, and it does not have the normal bolt that would have gone through the action or gone through the stock to attach to the action. So this is kind of an odd little gun. And I can't determine the exact caliber because the only marking that's visible says 45. So it would have been a 4560 or a 4575. And let me tell you, in this lightweight firearm with this funky, thin little stock, it would have kicked you like a government mule. But would have been a fairly effective cartridge in this gun. So what's the story here? Well, I'm going to refer to my notes so I get this right. This was donated to the museum in 1927. The donor said this gun was owned by Fred Habig, or Winchester Pete, who lived on London Flats for the last 40 years or so. At one time, he held the state engineer off, not allowing him to make a survey across his place. Another time, he defied the United States Reclamation Service and kept them from running their lines through his land. At one time, he had a fight with Joe Wild at Fort Laramie in which he shot Joe Wild with this gun. Well, good luck to Mr. Wild, eh? So I thought, well, that's a cool story, right? But doing a little bit of research, I found this article in the Wyoming Press for June 28, 1913. And the headline reads, Fred Habig, queer hermit found insane. And reads as follows: Fred Habig, H-A-B-I-G, an eccentric character, has lived for many years on a homestead near Fort Laramie and whose violent temper and determination to prevent settlement of land near his place has been adjudicated insane by a jury sitting in Torrington and is to be taken to the state asylum in Evanston. Habig, who feared nobody and made a practice of inspecting strangers over the sights of a rifle, maybe this one, was taken into custody by Sheriff Hayes of Goshen County when he went into Lingle for supplies. The complaining witness was J.A. Marley, whose assertion that the prisoner was a lunatic was supported by several others who reside in the vicinity of Habig's place. Habig seemed possessed of a belief that someone would get his land away from him, and he suspected all who approached his claim. He was continually armed, and his neighbors gave him a wide berth, fearing he would attack them. There is only one instance of record, however, in which he actually shot a man. He put a load of shot between the shoulders of Joseph Wild of Fort Laramie, but did not inflict a mortal wound. That makes me wonder if this was the gun, because unless he had a shot cartridge loaded in here, if he'd have shot him with a 45-60 or 45-75 in the back, it might have inflicted a mortal wound. One of those things we don't know. On another occasion, he is reported to have shot at Joe LaFors of Cheyenne, who had filed on a piece of land adjoining the Habig homestead. You may recognize Joe LaFors' name. He crops up all the time in Wyoming history. In 1897, he was, as a Montana stock inspector, he was present at the hole-in-the-wall fight west of KC. In 1902, he extracted a confession from Tom Horn, who admitted to shooting Willie Nickel, the 14-year-old son of a sheepman from north of Cheyenne. And he was also, LaFors was hired by the Wool Growers Association to investigate the Spring Creek Raid, which occurred in 1909 in the Bighorn Basin. And we'll have a video about, a Firearms Friday video about that Spring Creek Raid at some point. How Habig managed to live has been a mystery. His only property has been a little bunch of inbred horses. He believed that some persons had designs on these animals and frequently guarded them with a rifle. Assessors and other officers, with few exceptions, have given his place a wide berth. He has been a community terror, and his restraint undoubtedly will cause relief to those who lived in the district in which his ranch is located. And that's from the Cheyenne Tribune, again, of June 28th. I didn't get this far down the rabbit hole, but I thought it would be interesting to see who ended up with Habig's property. They say even paranoids have real enemies, but I didn't get that far. So anyway, that's the story on this heavily modified 1876 Winchester rifle owned by Winchester Pete, or Fred Habig. So, if you have any comments or questions, you can post those below or give us a call at the museum, and we'd be glad to chat with you about firearms. So, thanks for watching.